Hi everyone, Dr. Lee here, giving you some updates and suggestions for your signature assignment for 755. I guess the first thing is the signature assignment is a culminating assignment for everything you've learned thus far about qualitative research. It goes all the way back to 754 last term, where you identified a method, um, came up with a purpose statement and research question for your mini study, and then in 755, you gathered your data, you coded your data, and the signature assignment is where everything comes together. So what I'm going to do is provide you some guidance on how to put this assignment together. So now that you have coded your data in 755, it's time to put together the summary of findings. And I would like to draw your attention to the course at a glance from the last course, 754. And there are some Google Docs there that will become that are extremely helpful. The first one is this document here, which is the sample summary of findings. And if you click on that, this document pops up. And so for every one of your themes, you're going to need to write a summary of that theme. And in this particular example, and this is from a dissertation, the name of the theme is Develop a Mindset of Reciprocity and Growth. And I encourage you to look through this sample, look at how it's put together, the components of it, as well as the language that's used to describe the theme that is being presented. So here's an introductory paragraph that describes what this theme has to do with the overall research question. You can see for this dissertation, there's a sub-question that this theme is addressing. Okay. Next is a smaller table of frequencies and sources based on that theme. And for your table, you'll just have two rows. You actually will not have this middle row. This is the research sub-question that the researcher is putting together. But for yours, you'll have the theme, sources, frequency, and you'll just have the name of the theme, the number of sources, and the frequency. Okay. So after you present in table format the information about the theme, it's time to explain the narrative, the story behind that theme. And so you can see here, the researcher talked about where the data came from. It came from focus groups. She talked about participants. She gave an overview of how the participants experience this particular theme. And you can see here, she gives examples. Participant 10, she explains that participant's experience, and she pulled in a quote, willingness to do something. And she says, the next example is participant 9, and the quote for that is located here. But the idea here is that the quotes are supporting the narrative. And so you, as a researcher, when you're presenting the summary of the themes, you need to write the story, the narrative behind the theme, and let the quotes complement your story. Where students have struggled is they have used a lot of quotes or overused quotes or used quotes without explaining the narrative. So you just have to be careful with how you use the quotes. And quotes are used to accentuate the story behind that theme and not the other way around. So the next place I want to draw your attention to is the course at a glance for 755, and particularly the directions for the signature assignment, which is 4.1. And I'm going to scroll down and notice there's a note at the bottom that says, please use the outline above for your leveled headings for this paper. And so what that looks like is you've got two parts, part 1 and part 2, and you've got research question, type of data in part 1, and data collection methods, coding procedures in part 2, and presentation of data. Okay, and I'm going to model for you how to set up your paper in Microsoft Word. Okay, so here I have Microsoft Word pulled up, And behind this screen, you can see the course at a glance. And the way you set up the template or the outline is you say part 1, part 2, and under part 1, you would have research question, types of data, okay? In part 2, you would have data collection methods, coding procedures, presentation of data, conclusions, and references, okay? And we want to use leveled headings because leveled headings provides organization, but also leveled headings provides you depth. You're given an opportunity to go deeper by using subheadings. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make this Times New Roman. And part 1 is a level 1 heading, so that's centered. Part 2, research question, types of data. Those are level 2 headings, and as such, they're left justified and also bold. And these ones here are also level 2 headings. Okay, and references always is a level 1 at the end of your paper. Okay, and so you know, you would for level 2 headings, you would write narrative on the next line. Okay, so that's where you begin to write your narrative, and you would do the same here, and the same here, and same here. Okay, now when we get to the section on presentation of data, you're likely going to have, let's just say 5 themes. We'll just say theme 1, theme 2, theme 3, theme 4, and theme 5. Okay, and for your themes, those would be a level 3 heading underneath the presentation of data. And level 3 headings are always tabbed over 5 half an inch with a period, okay? And you would begin the narrative, again, this is a review of leveled headings APA style. You would begin the narrative immediately after that period, okay? So this is going to look something like that. Okay, so that's what that outline looks like, and then conclusions are down here. Okay, so in essence, you've got a template that is based on the course at a glance, and you've got themes, which would be level 3 headings under the level 2 heading presentation of data. Okay, now I'm going to bring you back to the 754 course at a glance, and the 754 course at a glance has a very important document, and this is a document that I encourage you to download and refer back to it in the future. This is going to become very handy when you work with your dissertation chapter 5. This is a handout on how to draw conclusions, and let's see here. Where is that? Data. Is it this one? Sample summary. No, that's not it. Let's see here. Oh, hold on a sec. Maybe it's in the 750. Yep, it's on 755 CAG. Sorry about that. Under conclusions, there's a document called dissertation tips. And if you open that up, I'd like for you to read through this very carefully. And I'll just point out one of the most common mistakes with drawing conclusions is students oftentimes restate a finding as a conclusion. And you want to make sure that you're not just restating the finding as a conclusion. Okay? A conclusion is sound judgment, it's reasoning, it's inferencing based on the findings of the study. And this is where, as a researcher, you're finally given an opportunity to have an opinion, but it's not just any opinion, it's your researcher professional opinion based on the data of the study. And I want to showcase this through the example at the bottom of page 1 of this document. It says, for example, if your finding is that 83% of the sample reported that having trusting relationships with the supervisor and coworker is a top priority in job retention, okay? So that's a finding from the study, okay? The next step is to write a conclusion. So the conclusion, therefore, is in order to retain qualified professionals, organizations need to develop strategies that will build trust and strengthen relationships among supervisors and coworkers. So you can see that there's this additional opinion here that in order to retain qualified professionals, then it's based on the findings that we need to have trusting relationships. So this is not a restatement of the finding; it's an inference or an opinion drawn from the finding. And I want to point that out to you because this is a very critical part of the last assignment, and I want to point you to this particular example because it's a great example that highlights how to draw a conclusion. So with that, I wish the best of luck with your signature assignment. I'm looking forward to reading it.